My name is Wayne Dobbs, and I'm located in Allen, Texas, which is part of the DFW area. I'm on the north side of Dallas, about 30 miles, and I teach essentially defensive handgun to both law enforcement, church security teams, security people, private citizens. I teach a lot of revolver lately, of all things. I do a lot of pistol-mounted optics training for various people. So kind of a broad-ranging defensive and practical handgun kind of training program is what I do. Well, like a lot of other folks, I think that'll be in your instructor population there, I got started as a police firearms instructor a long time ago, and did my 25 years with the Richardson, Texas Police. Had a great career there. Got to do a little bit of everything, and for most of it, I was at least an adjunct, if not a full-time firearms instructor for the department. All along through that, I sought out and paid for thousands of hours, and I don't know how many thousands of dollars worth of training all over the country in firearms and tactics and various related subjects. And that passion to continue with that has continued. Obviously, the passion with the law enforcement side of it is to try and get them prepared, despite their best wishes not to be prepared at times, but to get them prepared for negative and deadly force encounters with bad guys on the streets. With the citizens, it's become a lot easier, because if they come to you, the cops are forced to come to you. Citizens come to you looking for training and advice, and for a path to developing a capability, and that's extremely motivating to me. I guess the thing that makes me the most passionate about it is when you have somebody there that maybe comes with a little bit of knowledge, or with no knowledge whatsoever, and you're able to work with them and see those little light bulb moments when they start getting it, is what I say. And I got to spend 2 years overseas in Iraq teaching firearms to the Iraqi police service, and the getting it moments were few and far between, and when they did happen, it was like I was a cheerleader jumping up and down. So it's a matter of when you make that connection with somebody on what you're trying to communicate to them. The common fundamental error I see, and this is with everybody that's new at it, and sometimes and oftentimes people that have been around doing this a long time, is they have a really suboptimal, mediocre, or terrible grip on the pistol. The grip is the interface between the human being and the tool, and if that grip interface is not optimal, if it's not refined, then everything you're going to do with that pistol is going to be hard work. If the grip is good, then it's taking care of a great deal of the shooting work for you, and is taking tax or taxation of cognitive effort off of you by having a good grip. The other mistake that I see from a marksmanship or shooting or even somewhat tactical standpoint is that people won't follow through on a shot, especially if you give them a 1 or 2 shot exercise. They will extend the pistol, fire a shot, and the bullet will barely be out of the barrel, and they're pulling the gun down and looking over the top of the gun to see how they did, which when you do that is usually pretty bad. So I like to teach people a long follow through after a shot, and if you're not having to transition to another target, or you're not having to reload the gun, I want to see people establish a prepped up trigger and a new alignment of the weapon on the target, either iron sights or a dot on the target for a 2 count, so that you're consistently teaching yourself to set up the next shot, and perhaps and hopefully set up an even better shot than the one you just delivered. Just come relaxed, know that we're going to have a good time. There's nothing riding on this. So it's come in there, see what you can learn, see what you can take away, see what questions you can ask. One of the things, and I didn't cover it on passion of training, is every time I get to do a decent class, every time there's an involvement of the students in the class, I always walk away learning something too. I don't go into too many classes these days expecting to learn something new from an instructor. What I'm looking for is, I call it the nugget, where they have a different way of presenting something or communicating something that I take. But there is invariably, coming from a class, from the student population, there is invariably a comment or a question or an observation that leaps out at you as something that's really important, or that helps you clarify what you're doing down the line. I'll give you an example. I don't know if you want to throw it in there. Years ago, Steve Moses, and this was a class that Steve Moses and I were teaching, and had a lady in the class, and she came from a significant amount of wealth, and she was shooting a Glock pistol. It was a cold day. We ended up calling the class because a sleet storm came in, and it just got, untenable for everybody. But she was having trouble, pressing a trigger correctly. And I showed it to her and demonstrated it and helped her out. And then she looked at me and she said, "Oh, it's like a 35 millimeter camera." And I looked at her and I said, "Excuse me?" And she said, you get the shot lined up in the camera view screen, and then you put your finger on the shutter button and take out the slack, and then refine everything, and then press the shutter. And I said, "Oh my God, that's perfect. That's exactly what it is." So that was a huge nugget, and I've used that for years ever since then to try to help people understand it. Well, it's pretty obvious. All the students are women, and that is a net positive. I'm not to get too hard on men, but we need to be hard on ourselves, because we typically bring a significant ego to the range or to the classroom. We typically come into those kind of training situations thinking that we have a significant amount of knowledge or capability, and oftentimes that's not true. And in fact, oftentimes that ego will lead you down a path of destruction. So I enjoy teaching the women because there's no male ego to fight. It's everybody's always looking for a snappy statement, but the first thing I would say is relax. You're coming to a place where people are going to support you, where people are welcoming to you. You're coming to and from what I'm able to see, a fairly non-competitive environment with each other. I think people in A Girl and a Gun lift up each other much more than a lot of other operations do. So that would be one thing that I would say, is to relax. The other thing is, don't try to go too fast too soon. Don't try to, I'm not saying don't try, but don't expect that you're going to soak up everything that's presented and walk away, as fully competent. It's a journey. It's not an experience. There's a lot to learn. You'll spend some time working on it. From the health standpoint, make sure and hydrate. Make sure that you're eating. If you're feeling a little shaky or bad, sit down, get in some shelter, let somebody know. And then from a practical standpoint, is make sure your equipment, your gear is organized like the night before. Nothing is worse. And we've all been in an experience where, we wake up, we're running late and we don't have everything together, and we invariably forget something we need. So make sure and take some time, and it probably doesn't take more than 5 minutes to make sure all your equipment and all your gear is ready to roll out the door in the morning. So that would be the advice I would have for someone that's attending it. They can take a look at the Palisades Training Group website, which is PTG, like Paul Tom George, Training, LLC.com, ptgtrainingllc.com, or you can email me at wayne.dobbs@yahoo.com, and if I have something, an opportunity or they are looking for something to be taken care of, they can just reach out to me directly, and I'm willing to help folks out on an individual basis or a small class basis.